Hello, this is Mr. Mormon. Welcome to video 7 in my ecology series. Today we're going to be talking about Earth's biomes. This map shows some of the major biomes found throughout the world. A biome is a group of ecosystems with similar climates and organisms. So each one of these colored regions you see on the map is going to have a certain climate. That would be the temperature and rainfall, which is going to determine what kind of plants can grow there, what's going to be the dominant type of tree and plant that you would find there. And the certain kinds of trees and plants that you have is going to dictate what kind of animals are going to live there. Each biome will have a unique set of dominant plants and dominant wildlife. It's the climate conditions, the temperature and the rainfall that determine what the biome is going to be in a certain area. Okay, I'm now going to take a closer look at each of the individual biomes. As we do that, write down the name of the biome and a couple of the key facts that you hear. Okay, let's start with the rainforests. You can see most of the rainforests are located here along the equator, but there's also some rainforests up here in the western part of the United States. Washington and Oregon contains a temperate rainforest. As their name implies, these forests receive much more rainfall than most places in the world. Here's an aerial shot of a rainforest and some of its inhabitants. And here's another. You can see on the chart down at the bottom, the purple, the scales on the right for the rainfall, the red, the scales on the left for the temperature. You can see that both the temperature and the rainfall throughout the year are both high in a tropical rainforest. A tropical dry forest, like you see here from India, is going to have much lower. The temperatures are still going to be high, but lower rainfall for a large part of the year. Again, different kinds of plants, different kinds of animals. Let's move on to the next group. You can see that these cover a very large area of the world. Deserts and grasslands are some of the largest biomes found anywhere on the planet. Deserts cover large parts of each of the continents as well. In deserts, of course, the temperature will be very high and the rainfall very low. This shovel-snouted lizard dances to avoid burning its feet on the hot sand dunes of the Namib Desert in Africa. Notice how much lower the biodiversity is here in the desert. The last biomes we were looking at, the rainforests, have the highest biodiversity on land. The desert has one of the lowest. Biodiversity is the number of different species that live in an area, all the different organisms. Again, very high in a rainforest, very low in a desert. Here's a desert for the United States. This is Yuma, Arizona. Once again, we see very high temperatures, but very low rainfall. The tropical savanna is one of the grassland biomes. It receives more rainfall than the desert, but less than the tropical dry forest that we were looking at. Temperatures are pretty high. These are near the equator. And they cover much of Africa, India, Australia. The grasslands of the savanna are spotted with isolated trees and small groves of trees and shrubs. The soil is very compact. These areas are very frequently hit by fires. And the grasses and plants, the trees, have adapted to become quite drought tolerant as well as fire resistant. Here's another grassland biome, but this is a temperate grassland farther away from the equator. This one here is Omaha, Nebraska. You'll notice that seasonally the temperatures get quite a bit cooler. Temperate grasslands are characterized by a very rich mix of grasses and are underlaid by some of the world's most fertile soils. Much of the Midwest of the United States used to be covered with this type of ecosystem or biome, most of which now has been turned into agricultural fields. Next comes the temperate woodland and shrubland biome. This biome is characterized by a semi-arid or semi-dry climate and a mix of shrub communities and open woodlands. Communities like this that are dominated by shrubs are also known as chaparral. The growth of dense, low plants that contain flammable oils makes fires a constant threat. This particular scene is outside of Los Angeles, California. Again, as we've seen on the news, they're very commonly hit by wildfires. Next, let's look at some of the other forest biomes that dominate more of the northern part of the hemisphere. This Michigan forest in autumn is a beautiful example of a deciduous forest. The close-up shows a red fox, a common resident of North American deciduous forests. Temperate forests contain a mixture of deciduous and coniferous trees. Coniferous trees, or conifers, produce seed-bearing cones, and most have leaves shaped like needles. Deciduous trees are trees that shed their leaves during certain seasons. The conifers keep their needles year-round. They're often called evergreens. Soils of temperate forests are often rich in humus. This is a material formed from decaying leaves and other organic matter that makes the soil very fertile. Mild, moist air from the Pacific Ocean provides abundant rainfall to this biome, the northwestern coniferous forest. The forest is made up of a variety of conifers ranging from giant redwoods along the coast of northern California to spruce, fir, and hemlock farther north. Moss often covers tree trunks and the forest floor. Flowering trees and shrubs such as dogwood and rhododendron are also abundant. Because of its lush vegetation, the northwestern coniferous forest is sometimes called a temperate rainforest. Along the northern edge of the temperate zone are dense evergreen forests of coniferous trees. These biomes are called boreal forests or taiga. Winters are bitterly cold, but summers are mild and long enough to allow the ground to thaw. The word boreal comes from the Greek word for north, reflecting the fact that boreal forests occur mostly in the northern hemisphere. In this last map, we can see some of the remaining biomes, the tundra, mountains, and ice caps. Tundra is up here at the far northern reaches of the continents. Of course, all the purple are the main mountain ranges around the world, and the ice down here in Antarctica and Greenland. The tundra is characterized by permafrost. This is a layer of permanently frozen subsoil. During the short, cool summer, the ground thaws to a depth of a few centimeters and becomes soggy and wet. In winter, the topsoil freezes again. This cycle of thawing and freezing, which rips and crushes plant roots, is one reason that tundra plants are small and stunted. Cold temperatures, high winds, the short growing season, and humus-poor soil also limit plant height. Again, like the desert, this is going to be a low diversity type of biome. If you'd like to explore biomes further, go to this website, and there's an interactive map that you can zoom in on all different regions. I'm going to zoom in on Long Island, where we are, and you'll see not only the biomes, but the smaller ecoregions that make up the biome. All right, here we've zoomed into the United States, and you can see several different ecoregions. Here I've zoomed in on the East Coast, and we're starting to see Long Island has two different ecoregions. In the northern part of Long Island, we see the northeastern coastal forest, which is what's common on, through much of New England here in the tri-state area. It's a temperate broadleaf and mixed forest, dominated mostly by oaks and maple trees. The other color green we see here is the Atlantic coastal pine barren, which dominates much of the southern part of Long Island. All right, that's it for today. If you have any questions, please bring them up in class tomorrow.